the beautiful thing about architecture, the first day, the first exercise which we were given was redesign a human being. And that's where we really started thinking about our own self, what a human being is. Because to do anything, you need to analyze, understand why, what is what, and how you can do it better or how you can do it different. You have to unlearn first to learn.
You've been in the creative field for almost about
50 years.
Where did you start from and what got you here?
The starting, if I were to put it this way, when I got married with my wife, I told her, you're my third wife. She said, what do you mean? I said, my first wife is my body, second is my architecture, and third is where I am connected with you. If you are not happy with what you're doing, don't do it. And if you are happy, do it and own it. Stand in the middle of the crowd and say, yes, I did it.
Architecture is not something that starts paying you the day you walk out of college. It is at least a 10-year process before you even start understanding what whole architectural processes are. Because
what was your end goal when you started off?
A very simple end goal was I wanted to be happy. I'm talking about that inner self. I think meditation, conscious breathing, all these things are very, very important to ground everybody, anybody.
People for some reason have this perception that, architects end up taking money. Why has it become like that?
The point is, it has been that design or the creativity is not a function of money that is going to go into it, but it's a function of how correctly that particular resource or that idea is used in the context.
You are 70 plus and you're still going strong. What was difficult for you? Because you make everything sound very superfluous.
Difficulty has always been there. There is nothing which is without difficulty. What I'm only saying is,
welcome to another episode of Creative Spark Plug. Today we are talking to architect Milind Nulkar, co-founder of Center for Design Excellence, established in 1997. And it's an architecture and interior design consultancy firm having done thousands of projects across the country in all categories of the spaces. And I think Milind Uncle has been instrumental in making Kalatmak what it is today, because the name came from him and his wife. Auntie had suggested the name, and he has been a great influence on my growing years. So over to you, sir.
great, wonderful, nice speaking to you, the people at Creative Spark Plug. When I say creation, I think of imagination. Creation is a faculty of imagination. Once you imagine, then the idea develops. So reasoning is a faculty of intellect. So the difference between creation and reasoning is creation is a pure imagination, whereas reasoning is a faculty of intelligence where you start applying your intelligence in making it happen. And same way I say that every idea that has come up is developed twice. Once in the mind of the maker, second time it's done in physical form. That's where we start seeing the product. The product is an end game. Where you see the product, it's basically the intellect has worked in making it happen. Whereas a creative guy, creation doesn't need any intellect. It's just a spark. And that's what you guys are all about, bringing all the creative minds together. So that's also one spark. And it's interesting. We are in a field where every day for us, it's a new beginning. It's unlike most other people where you follow a regular pattern where you say, okay, this is it, this is it. For us, every day we wake up with an idea that, okay, it can be this way. 2 into 2 is not necessarily 4. For us, it could be 5, it could be 7, it could be anything. And once we are ready to do that, then we are ready to open up all the doors and the spectrum is wide. That's what I would say.
कि तुम तो अंकल बोलने लग गए भैया. Should I call you uncle? Should I call you sir? Should I call you Milind? What would you prefer?
Anything. Milind is also fine.
Right. Why do you make creation sound like love as though there is no reason in it? Like, if I have to draw an analogy, it may not be the wisest analogy that I've come up with, but are you saying creation is love and relationship is a lot like, is a faculty of
Intelligence.
Intellect.
Intellect, yes and no, because in relationship there are emotions, whereas in creation there are no emotions.
So
In creation, it's the inner feeling, it's a drive which comes out of nowhere. And that's what an intellect starts reasoning and making it happen. Whereas when you start comparing it with relationship, in relationship, there is an entanglement of emotions. There are entanglements of expectations. There are entanglements of whole lot of things. So there is reasoning, all right, but there are a lot of fallbacks. Whereas I feel creation has no suffix, no affix. It just comes and then you take it from there. And that's where your intellect starts working on and developing it further. So it's a very clear, distinct faculties. One is imagination and the other one is intellect. So imagination and intellect we always feel are the same. No, imagination doesn't need intellect, whereas intellect needs imagination. Without imagination, there is nothing for intellect to work on. So imagination is there. You could have a vague idea like, I want to just get up from here and fly. Now that's imagination. An intellect will make it work if it can. If it doesn't, it drops it. But for us as individuals, if we do not allow the imagination to grow, then there is no creation which will happen. So imagination, for us to happen, we have to give that freedom for the mind. The mind has to be absolutely enjoying every moment of life. The mind has to say, yes, I'm fine. I mean, I accept everything that comes. It may happen, it may not happen. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, so be it. Sometimes some of the ideas, you're not able to reason it, but somebody else steps in and is able to solve that puzzle. So that's the time where it starts getting a form. So who gives a form, why he gives a form, how he gives a form is a secondary part. That's where the brains come together, the intellect comes together and reasons it out and says, yes, this is what the idea is constituted into. So this is where the difference is. But for an imagination, the first cut imagination, there is nothing. You decided to create a fax machine. I mean, somebody thought, why can't I send a paper from here to there? And it happened. The fax machine was created. So there are brains which would work in making it happen. That's how everything, aircraft, somebody saw a bird flying and said, why can't we fly? That's how the whole process of imagination or creation to actual product is where it starts falling in. So again, I say that we are in a beautiful field where we look at things fresh and we enjoy every moment of our life because that's what gives us the spark, the creative spark.
I think we're getting a nice new definition for creativity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
logical reasoning and imagination. So we've also got a kind of a solution to which came first, chicken or the egg. With the imagination comes first and then the intellect. I think you've been in the creative field for almost about 40 plus years,
50 years.
50 years. So what was your starting like? Where did you start from and what got you here?
Okay, it's a beautiful sort of, I can narrate whole lot of things, but yes, the starting, if I were to put it this way, I was very, very, very clear right from my childhood that I do not want to do what everybody is doing every day. I want to do something which is nothing. I used to play with nothing. I used to play with whatever I would get in hand. A broken box is good enough for me to think whether anything can be done out of it. So it all started that way. And when I completed those days after the SSE, that is school 11th standard, which we were in, not the 12th as it today, we had to choose a course, which is that time I was studying in Bombay. It was art, science, commerce. And I said, none of the three, I would rather sit at home, do nothing, but I would not join any of these mainstreams. And I had some feeling of working with solids, products and things like that. So product design, architecture, those kinds of things were ringing in my mind. Of course, we didn't have so much of vocational guidance. None of the members in the family were in any field which I was wanting to get into. So there was no support in which I could get inspiration from. Having said that, I decided that no matter what, I want to get into something to do with creativity, something to do with solids, something to do with objects. I got into architecture. Even there, it was a little twist and turn. There were 3 schools of architecture those days in Bombay. And I somehow gathered JJ College of Architecture. JJ College, those days was going through a lot of strikes because university takeover and all that. I didn't want to mess up with my career. I wanted to be in creative field and I wanted to have little more spontaneity, little more openness, which I realized that Academy of Architecture would give me. And that's where I stepped into it. Now, the beautiful thing about is architecture, the first day, the first exercise which we were given was redesign a human being. Can you imagine? It is
Redesign a human being.
so. And we said, what are we trying to do? And that's where we really started thinking about our own self, what a human being is. Because to do anything, you need to analyze, understand why, what is what, and how you can do it better or how you can do it different. So that's where we started looking inward, started thinking about ourselves, who we are, what we are, how we can be, what we can be, and what else can we do, what are our limitations, what are our aspirations, how we can go forward. So that's the kind of a thing which gave me the spark again. And right through the first whole year of architecture, we did nothing to do with architecture. And our professor always told us, you have to unlearn first to learn. And that unlearn process, because as a child, we grew up seeing door, window, this, that. So when we start talking architecture, we said, where is the door? Where is the window? That's not what it is. Where is the opening through which light could come? That's a window, you call it. Once you say window, you have a certain set of frame in your mind. When you talk of an opening, there is no frame. So the entire conception of an opening gives you a dimension which is way beyond what you were knowing. So also door. When we see door, we all talk of some 3 feet by 7 feet, 4 feet by 8 feet, that kind of a door. We have a door as an image in our mind. So to eradicate that image, to start thinking fresh, we need to get out. So whole of year we were unlearning, and that unlearning process was a lot of it to do with mental, physical, as well as aspirational. When I say all that, is like mental is when we were to unlearn, where we had to forget what we were preconceived with. Every child is born in a womb. He lives in a home and he dies in a tomb. So it's a physical feature which exists with everybody, physical parameter which is there as a individual. But when we talk of home, it could be anything. And that concept to dig into us, we had to unlearn. So that meant understanding textures, not textures as physical textures alone. It is physical texture, visual texture, all perceptive senses being active, whether it is smell, whether it is hearing, whether it is touch, whether it is sight. So when we start talking on those dimensions and those parameters, our entire conception changes. And that's how we grew up in an environment where we started working with whole lot of things and ended up building our own institution with our own hands, holding the bricks, mixing the mortar, fixing it, whether it is a Flemish bond or an English bond. We started making those brick walls, and that's where our germination of creative as well as understanding of the parameters which go into building what we want to build. So those dreams. Now, when we got into this creative aspect, we started applying that into every project that we got. So every project was looked at it as a fresh situation. So it's a kind of a field which I enjoyed right from the inception. So architecture was by choice, and having gone there by choice, I only enjoyed. And it only grew on me. And that's where I started telling that this is the second marriage. The first marriage was with my body when I was born. The second marriage was architecture. And much later in my life, when I got married with my wife, I told her, you're my third wife. She said, what do you mean? I said, my first wife is my body. Second is my architecture. And third is where I am connected with you. So that's the kind of a connection which I always had with architecture or whatever I did. And all along my life, I always told myself, I want to be true to what I want to do. That's it. So if I like something, I want to do it. If I don't like, I want to get up and say, sorry, it doesn't work for me. So that's a kind of a basis on which we have always progressed. And that's a kind of a thing. Even today in my studio, I keep telling people that you don't draw lines simply because I am asking you to draw a line. You draw a line because you are sure about what you're doing. And that's a kind of a connect I want everybody in the field to have with what they're doing. Because it's as simple as that. If you are not happy with what you're doing, don't do it. And if you are happy, do it and own it. Stand in the middle of the crowd and say, yes, I did it. Now, that's the kind of a difference which I feel. A. B is, I always feel we are playing with somebody else's money because somebody else trusts us in doing what we are doing. So there again, that clarity has to come that it is as responsible as would I have done something for me with this money? Yes, then I'll do it for you. Of course, with an understanding that it meets your walk of life. So these are sort of basics which got grounded into us right at the inception or right at the beginning of our career. And those values and those systems stayed with us all through our career. And I joined architecture way back in 71, graduated in 76. Then I did my master's from Roorkee, what you call today IIT Roorkee. That time also, very interesting thing. When we completed architecture, architects were paid 250 rupees a month as a salary, the starting salary. I did my master's in urban and regional planning. There, when I did my MURP, I was being paid 400 rupees fellowship by UGC, University Grants Commission. So 400 was much bigger than 250. And living on the campus with single-seater room, with room heaters and all kinds of facilities, with beautiful mess. So, and I wanted to be at the foothills of the Himalayas to explore the Himalayas. So I said, this is a good stepping stone for me. Getting out of Bombay was also one of my major goal. I said, Bombay is great to learn, but once you learn, you need to quit. I never ever thought that I would love to live in Bombay. I told first chance I get, I'm going to get out of Bombay, and which I did. Since 77, I am out of Bombay and I have perfectly happy. It's not that I say anything bad because Bombay taught me a lot of things. Bombay taught me a whole lot of things to be what I am today. But having said that, Bombay, you exist. Here we live. And I wanted to live. And to live, I wanted to get out of that city. And it was too congested for me in 77. I felt Bombay is overcrowded. I need to go to a quieter place. Of course, Bangalore is equally overcrowded today. But then we have lived our life, we have enjoyed, and we are continuing to enjoy the way it is. This city worked very well with us because the weather was good, people were good, and it was much more sort of city which accepted us right from the day one. And that sort of drove us into what we are. It gave us an opportunity to explore other faculties of ours which we are not able to do, whether it is creative side, whether it is functional side, whether it is learning corporate cultures and those kinds of things. Whole lot of, I say we learn every day. I mean, till the last minute of our breath, we are a learner, we are a student. So that's a kind of a process which has always been there and it will be there all along. So that is where our creative reasoning and all these aspects put together, we are here. Today, from 77 to 79, I was in Roorkee. And after that, I moved over to Pune, where I got into working on projects which were area development programs. Now, what I did, my Masters of Urban and Regional Planning was purely with an idea to do something for the less developed nations. And my dissertation topic was spatial inequalities in regional development and strategies for development planning. So that is where again I said it is not something which is less developed, something which is less developed to its potential. And can we do anything to increase that? It's like a child gets 30 marks out of 100 and the next semester the child gets on the same subject 45 marks out of 100 and a child who has got 80 marks out of 100 and the next semester he gets 75, then I think this child is better because this child has grown
Improved.
from where it was to a potential and that child has degenerated. So that same way, every region has a potential. And can we tap those potentials? Can we do it better? And I always thought of working for the less developed nations, not going to US. I had an opportunity, 72, I went to US for the first time in my life. And I was quite put off. I said it's a very plastic kind of a country. I'm not the one who's going to fit in here. I need my space. I need my expression, which the city did not allow me for whatever reasons because it was too imposing a culture. That's where I got back and started working. I always thought living in a smaller place without too much of exposure to whole lot of things allows you to express yourself much more in a more interesting way, in the sense there is no domination, there is no superimposition, there is no fear of being ridiculed or anything like that. So you just express. And at some point in time, somebody expresses something which may be great for somebody, it may not be so good for somebody. But it's nevertheless an expression. And can we see that in that context? And that's where it starts becoming different. And then every creation has a value. Every creation starts looking different. It starts looking appealing. So it's how you approach the whole subject. You start finding value, meaning, and enjoying it. And that's what life is all about. Every life is different. Everyone has a different backdrop. Everyone has a different family. Everyone has a different connect. Everyone has a different opportunities. But so be it. Everyone still has the spark in them to be what they are. And if they can only recognize that, dig deep into them, and start exploring, I'm sure everyone will find their goals. You need to set an ambition, you need to set a goal, you need to work towards it, and you'll reach your goal. But if you feel that it's something which I cannot do, then you already put a limitation, you put a firewall. It's something which is not for me. Sorry. Whether it is food also. A lot of people say, I'm allergic to this, I don't eat this, I don't like that, I don't eat. All these are basically our own limitations. As a creative person, as an individual, as a whatever person, we are born with no limitations. We are the spark of the divine and we have no limitations. We can do anything under the sun. That's why today, if you see centuries back what man was and what today man is, it's purely because man believed that he can do, and we have come to this stage. Of course, in the process, we have compromised a lot of things when it comes to the balance in the nature, ecology, this, that. Yes, those are also aspects which you need to look into. But having said that, there is a spark, and every spark, if you give it a germination, it can grow into an idea, can grow into a reality. And that's what all the people around should recognize, that you have it in you. You just need to be committed. You need to have that in patience and that vision to see that through, and you will reach your goal. Struggle is there, efforts are required. There is no compromise on that. But having said that, you'll always enjoy what you've done, and you'll feel, when you look back, you'll say, wow, it was a path I walked, I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And that's what life is all about.
So, couple of things we just wanted to inquire into now. After having practiced for almost 50 plus years, you've seen the entire journey. But for a young architect who is just out of college or into the practice, it becomes very, very difficult to stay on course to the principles that they decide, especially the ones that you had followed, that you will do only what you like doing, and you're very integrity is a big thing. And so how does one during the course of the career stay on track to the principles that they have decided to follow? Because there are times when you're forced to rethink on whether your principles are right or wrong. Whatever it is, there are good, there is bad, there is a positive side, there's a negative side. But there are times when you are tempted to let go, and because grass is always greener on the other side. And when problems are there, the grass always looks green everywhere else, but in your turf. So
I can answer you in a very nice, simple way. Is when you're going on a highway, suppose, take for instance, you're in Bangalore and you're going to Pune, you're driving on the highway, And if there is a road work which is going on, there is a diversion. So you get onto the diversion, but you don't stay out of the main road all the time. You come back onto the main road. So just to give that leverage to what you're saying, first you need to clearly define that I have this goal in mind. It's like I start from Bangalore, I have to go to Pune. So I have a clear-cut vision. I have chosen my road. I have chosen my path. There are diversions. There are obstacles. There are hurdles. You need to overcome them with that conviction that I will still make it. Now, coming to that individual question, like sometimes you start compromising, you need to recognize that you are making a compromise, and you need to tell yourself that this is not the end game. Now, when you do that, you start working towards your end game. Parallelly, you are also giving in. As I understand what you're trying to say is sometimes the pressures are such that you need to address that, but those pressures should not take you away from your path is what you need to be on the course. Number one. Good part is if you are able to handle those pressures like we did, you do get pressures, you do get situations where if you say no, you're going to be like the snake and ladder, you're going to be back down onto the numbers where you started with. But if you have that conviction and confidence that at some point in time I'm going to make it, and again, it's not a race where you need to be better than somebody. It's you, what I earlier told, you need to be better than what you were yesterday. So if yesterday I was at this level, I'm been better. So I have refined, I'm become better, and I'm confident, I'm happy. That happiness rekindles the fire for the growth, for the further moment in your on your path, and which is there. It's a sort of, you need to stay put on your vision and goals, and you will hit those targets. If you do not, like even in sports, if you say that I want to be number one, you work towards it consistently with practice, with perfection, with efforts, you're going to reach your goal. So that's what you need to drive. And sometimes some compromises are there. It's like even in a sports guy, he does cheat in the sense he says, okay, today I'm not able to do my practice, so I'm going to give it a break. You can take a break, but you need to realize that that is still my end game, which I need to not move too far away from it, not give up on my practice, not give up on what I want to aspire for. So you need to stay rooted. And for that, initial days itself, you need to put those brakes on you. Rather than saying, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, you put a break saying that I will not do these things. That's very clear position you get into. And from there onwards, with small moment here and there, you'll still be able to steer yourself back onto your goal and move on in life.
The question that I would like to ask is, what was your end goal when you started off? How did you decide that?
Okay, a very simple. End goal was I wanted to be happy.
Okay. Happy as an experience.
Yes, happy as an experience.
Right. And at what point of time did you feel that this is what you should drive for?
Okay. I feel that what we went through during our training days set a certain parameters for us to reflect on. And those parameters were like, you say, okay, these are the kinds of works we want to do, for example. So we start looking at those kinds of opportunities. When we start looking at those, we start getting them. Once we start getting them, we start moving on it. And while doing that, what are the kind of course that you need to apply? We had started developing a clarity. I'm not saying that everything was very clear for me right on the day one. No, it was hazy. It was not clear. It was an area of if and but. But every step we were able to reconcile, consolidate our position and move further. It's like you're doing a mountain climbing. You put your feet on a stone which is shaking. You hold yourself with another hand and you try and see, okay, now this foot is firm. Then you pick up your next foot and put forward. Same way, at every stage in life, you are guided. I feel all of us are guided. We get a clarity of what is correct for us. And that guide is for you to reflect on. What happens is half of the time in the euphoria of doing things and roaming fast, you do not listen to yourself, you do not reflect on yourself. It's the same thing with your body. Most of the people go through ailments is because they are not listening to the signals which the body is giving. If the body says, okay, this is not going to work, and if you control that, I'm sure you can control your health. Health is also a very strong indicator of your happiness.
Mm.
So if today I'm 70 plus, I feel it's like the health has been the key. I tell even the youngsters in the office, you may have plenty of wealth, but if you don't have health, it's not going to help. So health is the key. Now, when you say health is at every stage in life, you need to take those correct calls. Ki, okay, this doesn't suit me anymore. I don't need it. It's like a child is born, you give him a milk in a bottle. But all his life, for the next 40 years, 50 years, he doesn't drink milk with a bottle.
Mhm.
So at some point in time, he gives up, he starts drinking with a cup. And then he gets graduates into drinking alcohol also, probably, God knows. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that at every stage in life, you move on and you say, okay, this was good for me at that point in time, or not good is another story. But the time has come for me to move from here into another level.
Mm.
And when you graduate, when you start moving into those, you start consciously tapering off.
Mm.
Say so also in your professional career, in your creative work, you start realizing, okay, this I did till some point in time. Now I need to move out. I need to consolidate and build it from here further. So at all those stages, you start growing, and you realize that you're reaching your goal. But at some level, you say, I do not want to indulge into these basic things. I want to do a certain thing, which is this. It's not what project I want to do, but how I want to do. The process of that project is more important than the project. You may get a project of your choice or you may not get. You may get a big project or you may get a small project. But every project is big and every process is important. If you see that, then you'll start getting a lot of clarity on what you're doing and how you're doing.
So, but in today's time, when there is so much information that's available at our fingertips, plus there is so much importance being given to money, and generally what happens is when you're out of college, the mindset is that, okay, in this field I'm only earning so much, so let's switch to this. I'm not saying everybody does that, but a lot of people have that. And especially when you're seeing on Instagram, on social media, whatever platform that people refer to, there is constantly this importance of money being given, status being given, and this whole fluctuation and the doubt factor that comes in, that, okay, maybe a doctor, for example, takes almost 15, 18, 20 years to get to even start making money because you have to study so much. Same is the case with any professional course like architecture also. Architecture is not something that starts paying you the day you walk out of college. It is at least a 10-year process before you even start understanding what whole architectural processes are, because it's such a wide subject. And like you said, creativity and intellectual, uh, because when we start off, we are so nascent, we don't even understand where it is going to take us. And a lot of us are so fluctuating in our end goal. Like you said, having an end goal in mind is important, but at that age we don't have that end goal in mind. So how does one stay on course, or even to understand that, yes, 10 years later, 20 years later, I will get somewhere in life?
Add to this in some sense, because I think your question is pertinent and I'm curious about the same thing. See, I think one of the things that he spoke about was listening to yourself and being on the course, that is persistence and also authenticity with the self, right? What I'm curious about, to add to yours, is there are two ideas in some sense. There's this idea of success and this idea of happiness, right? Some people feel they will be happy if they're successful. Some people feel if they have money, they are successful and thus they'll be happy. So these relationships in different people's mind is different things. But as a framework, there seems to be these three ideas. One is khush rehna, happy, which is what you said, that listen, boss, whatever I do, khush rehna. And you also identified with your own life experiences that the moment you're not, there's this conversation that you have with the self, or in the way that I hear your story, wherein you are able to judge, saying that, ye judge nahi raha hai, drop this. Yeah, ye nahi karenge. That is authenticity with the self, and also a great relationship with the self. And you're being able to recreate that sense of joy. The other two ideas of one is money and success. And these three things being related, what is your relationship with the idea of success? Before I go to money, Well, you mentioned the relationship with the idea of happiness. That is your be all and end game,
Yes.
right? At any point of time, you have a conversation with yourself and you're being able to establish that. यार ये मेरे को खुश नहीं रख रहा है, ये करके मुझे खुशी नहीं है. Or doing this is not giving me joy. Drop it, change course, do this, don't take this up, or do this more, whatever it is. So, happiness you've been able to say. What is your relationship with success? What do you think is the idea of success, or what is your idea of success? Do you actually think it is important?
I think, see, success is a product of what you do.
Mm.
Okay? It's as a symbol. I've done something and I've succeeded.
Mm.
If I've not done, there's no question of success. So, product of success, product of doing.
Mm.
Now, when you do, if you do it consciously, when I say consciously, again, what I mean is, first of all, I'm doing it for myself. Half of the time we are doing it for the society. Half of the time we are doing it because so-and-so, it is being talked of. So-and-so is going to be referring it to me. So it's that peer, it's that getting into the limelight, getting known about what I'm doing. It doesn't matter. Money will come when success comes. By default. Success ka byproduct is money. If you're successful, you'll get money. If you're not successful, anyway, money is not going to come to you. And to be successful and therefore get money, you need to do a product. Now, when you're doing that product, if you connect yourself, if you ask yourself all the time that, am I doing it? Am I happy with it? Is it the right thing to do? I think all the answers come in over there. Half of the time, we are doing it for getting recognition. We are doing it for somebody to appreciate, for somebody to say, yeah, I mean, you guys have done a great job. No, that's not my bother. I mean, you say, fine. Somebody else will still say, you're not done a great job. Still, it's fine. So the point is, if you are reaching, if you accept that, I'm working for myself. I'm not working for somebody else to give me laurels. It's like at the beginning of the conversation, we are saying that if my father said that you're a great guy, I would be happy. No, it's not required. I mean, you just be what you are. And you need to recognize, are you happy with yourself? That answers everything. That answers your health, that answers your success, that answers your money, that answers your peer, that answers your social circle. And even if somebody says you're a not so great guy, you're a useless fellow, so be it. I am still what I am. I enjoy. You call me what you want. It's like, you call me a monkey, so I need not start jumping like a monkey on the trees. You feel I'm a monkey, great, big deal. It doesn't make a difference to me. I am what I am, and I will continue to be what I am. Now, if you anchor yourself there, so I think there's somewhere that spirituality also comes in. When I'm saying spirituality, I'm not talking religion by any chance. I'm talking about that inner self. Are we connecting with that inner self? Half of the time, we are never connected with the inner self. We don't look inwards. I think meditation, conscious breathing, all these things are very, very important to ground everybody, anybody. It connects with you with your health. It connects with you with your mental frame. It connects you with your expectations. It connects you with your life. It connects you with your emotions and your social circle, everything. It's just that if you are connected, if you are grounded, if you are rooted, I think half of your problems are solved. It's only when your feet are not on your ground is where all the problem starts. So keep your feet on the ground, accept it. I may not have money, but I know what I am. I get my square meal. It's, if you look at the animal kingdom, tiger doesn't kill any animal for the fun of it, nor because even if he had his meal, a next animal he sees I can kill, he's never going to kill because he doesn't need. He kills an animal because he wants to eat. After he has finished his meal, if he's walking around and there is another animal which is a prey, he's not going to kill just like that. That's the beauty in the animal kingdom. The greed is not there. The moment you have a greed, you want to kill, you want to do, I want to suppose, I want to accumulate, I want to put all that I. The moment I talk of I, everything is required. It's a very simple philosophical, spiritual feeling is that the wants are never going to end. At every stage, at every corner, you have something more to discover, to grab for or to go for. And that grab mentality is what is holding us from being who we are. I need to get this. I need to get that. It's because I is very important. And that I, if you remove, Cool. Everything is cool. You still get your bread. You still get your square meal. You're happy. You will be recognized no matter what you do. You will be recognized, and where it matters, you will deliver and you'll feel happy about it. The moment you do that, you start getting connected. And nature has in it to give everybody everything. And it's for you to recognize that this is good enough for me. If I take out that greed from me, that I want more. And the moment I want more, I'm putting stress on myself. And moment I put stress, I'm not living a comfortable life. The moment I start living uncomfortably, I start creating problems because there are some fallacies which start growing. Some fractures, some fissures come into the entire system. And those aggravate and they grow into a major calamity wherein you have to succumb. We are life. We are creation. We are manifestation. And we need to just do our part humbly. The moment you start getting into that role, you're done. Rajesh, my simple advice to everybody is just be grounded, just be simple, just be honest, just be who you are. Yes, at the beginning, you might feel, I might grab this, I might get this, I might get that, but that's not going to take you too far. It might not last you also. Half of the time, all that you get just like that, it either goes back. Like one of our builder friend told us, all of us work so hard that at the end of the day, we have to go and give this entire dole of money to our cardiologist. So we are working for him. We are working for somebody. Every stress is putting us back from our path. So the less stress you give for yourself, the happier you are. The happier you are always sailing on your path. There is nothing that is going to hold you. And once you're sailing, you will do the right things. You will do great things. You will be recognized. You'll get success. You'll get money. You'll get everything. These are all byproducts. I'm not saying run away from money. I'm not saying don't make money. You make money. But make money where you can do it without creating all these byproducts, which are, because money is the goal, end game. That's where you start getting wrong. In the process, you have made money, nothing wrong.
Yeah, we've discussed this earlier also, but I think when you're mentioning this, the two things that basically like you're going in two different directions. But one of the thing is you mentioned about what I as an individual wants, and once the goal is defined, we follow that and not worry about anything else, what people will think and stuff. But I as an individual is not only me. It also is my wife, my kids, my parents. And so there's so many complications that start coming in. If it's only me and I cut off from everybody else, and then I know that, okay, this is my end goal and this is how I will pursue it. Come what may, I will stay on course, fine. It little bit here and there it goes, we can come back. But when it comes with all the other people who are involved in our life and so closely, how does one tackle that? Because not necessarily their goals will be aligned with us.
I agree with you, Rajesh. What you're saying is 100% right. It's not you as an individual in the society. You, in your own circle, in your own thing, appear like you, your family, as you rightly said, your wife, they are dependent. It's like I used to say, when I did my urban and rural planning, I started working for the less developed areas. I started working for backward areas. Like I started working in tribal belts of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh border, Pet, Surgana, all those tribal areas. I used to go and stay there and work and do a lot of things. At the end of the day, I said, if I can get a potable water to one hamlet also, I'm done. We were put on some project over there referred by RAW that time. That is, Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, and they wanted to know what is the kind of political will of these tribal areas and things like that. We didn't know. We were given a project and we were working. Now, I realized that as an individual, I couldn't do anything. It's a political will which is more important. At the end of the day, technocrat is one part, the bureaucrat is one part, and the political guy is another. So political planner is the one who ends up deciding that this is what it is, and you get stuck. For example, in Goa, I did a lot of works in most of the backward and underserved areas, like where even automobile was not seen by the people, and it came in the next day daily that they are not even seen an auto, because I went with a government jeep and I trekked into a hamlet and was working there. And then I realized that this is what it is. we cleared the plan at the state level because the chief secretary at that time was Dr. Almeida, who had done his PhD on Goa's agriculture and things like that. So we did an integrated area development program for them, and all that got its state level cleared. But when it went to the national level, empowered committee at the center did not clear it in time, and our entire program was based on a certain methodology which had to be followed. So when that didn't happen, the rains came in. Before the rains, we had to give them seeds. Those seeds would grow into this. That would be creative fodder. That would be doing this. This whole cycle. All that didn't work. And then I got frustrated. I told myself, I can get up and say, okay, I will not get a square meal. I'm happy. If I don't get a roof underneath, I'll sit under a tree. I'm happy. It doesn't matter to me. I want to walk barefoot. I'm okay. But I can't ask my parents not. I'll skip my breakfast. I can't tell my parents to skip their breakfast. I can't tell them not to take their medicines. I can't tell them not to do this. Or reverse, if I go to a shop and I say I want a toothpaste, he'll say, oh, you're a rural development worker, right? So toothpaste is for half the price. No, I still have to pay toothpaste the same price. I still have to buy everything at the same price. So what is rural development about it? And that's where I got to building buildings. I told myself, I need to enrich myself. I can't be sitting like this because there are others who are dependent on me. Same question what you're asking. So now, one, of course, on a very simple note, I'll say you got to be lucky to have your sphere also going in the same path as you are. But if not, there are compromises which you will end up making, as you rightly said, because it's not just you, but there are others who are looking up to you and you need to service them. And that's where you start making certain compromises. But while doing that, are they catastrophic? Are they going to sort of be contraindicative to your end goal is what you need to sort of steer around. And that's where you get your answers and you start realizing that I can still do this with a little bit of compromise, and you start moving. And when you reach those goals, you can further keep continuing. Now, when we were working on this rural development and all that, we were working closely with UNICEF. Now, UNICEF said, we'll give you refrigerators in those villages in Goa. There was no electricity. So what do you do with those refrigerators?
Yeah.
They wanted to give refrigerators to put artificial insemination. Artificial insemination because the animal should give more milk.
Yeah.
Milk yield has to increase. I said, okay, milk yield will increase. Who are going to collect? There is no milk collection routes. There is no dairy. There is nothing. And farmer is not growing that extra milk to drink and enjoy. He's growing so that he can. So we started talking of backyard poultry, backyard piggery. Now, Sri Lanka, we did small and medium-sized development of towns in Sri Lanka. Now there, we started working. We realized that people are working in those smaller hamlets, and the ladies in the house, they go and work on those sewing machines and things like that in those factories. And they create the income. The moment your income grows, the ladies' income grows, it goes into contributing into social upliftment. Like they are ready to send their children to the school. Versus in Adivasi belts where we are working, they said we can't send the child to the school. You give free education, you give everything, you give free books, you everything. That guy has to work. That small boy of 5 years, he has to work and create 2 rupees so that the family sustains. So his school and all that, you forget it. Whereas the other side, Sri Lanka, we saw that the ladies would work, and because they had surplus income, they were ready to send their children to school.
Right.
Now, if you can't give basic education, so those are the kinds of aspects which I learned much earlier in life, thanks to my working in all these backward areas, integrated developments which we did. We did in Kumaon region, Nainital, Bhimtal, Almoda. We did on highlands. We did in deserts. We did in all kinds of areas. We have worked so closely. I walked barefoot. I walked on foot. These kinds of things gave me a confidence of saying that no, at any point in time, you can survive, you can do it. So that conviction that it's not something which if I don't have that, I'm not going to survive. I gave up watch. I don't wear anything, not even a single ring. I told I don't need, if I tomorrow don't need a watch, why do I need it today? So I gave up everything. But at some point in time, you realize that there are others you cannot tell. I cannot tell my wife, you stop buying perfumes, you stop buying watches, you stop buying this. So it's a thing which is required. Money is required. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that don't bother you. But I still feel that there are, if you work correctly, if you work, put in that extra bit. I mean, those days we used to work, our office used to work from 8 in the morning to 12 in the night every day. And One day we started feeling somebody said, okay, let's see her. So we forcefully closed the office at 6 o'clock. We put a lock. Those days, if somebody was working and he came and said, sir, I want to go today at 7 o'clock in the evening. So you would say, why you want a half a day? आज शाम को 7 बजे जाने का, you want a half day. So बोलते हैं नहीं नहीं, I have to take my mother to doctor, this that. So we would say okay. Then we realized this is getting too far, so we decided one day, no, we are going to put a break. We went and locked the office at 6 o'clock and said chutti, bhago sab log. First day guys were thrilled. Second day they were thrilled. Third day they were thrilled. Fourth day they came, all of them in a consortium in the office. And those days, I'm telling you, in 86, 87, we had 20, 30 people working for us, which was, they used to call us, you're under a Factories Act as architect having 30 people. So they said, sir, if you want to close the office, it's your call. We are happy. But if you're going to work less from tomorrow onwards, you have to increase our salaries. I said, what nonsense is this? He said, kaam bhi kam karo, paisa bhi zyada do. So either you keep your office open till 12 o'clock or you close at 6 o'clock and give us extra allowance for going to the pub. We don't go home. We go to the pub and our bills are going so high that we cannot afford pub, nor can we go home. So you either keep the office open, we will work, or you close the office and give us a salary extra for the pub. And we religiously kept it open.
Today it's reverse. They want Saturdays also off. They want to work less.
and literally we used to work from 8 in the morning to 12 in the night without exaggeration. And there was one advocate, Kusma Muniraju, he used to sit next to our office. We used to have a competition. He would say, sir, you're closing your office today first or I'm closing, we'll have to see. 12 o'clock was the cutoff time. Clients used to come to our office at 9 o'clock saying that we have had our dinner, etc. Now we can sit and discuss with you. So 9 to 12, we would have a session. So these are the kinds of works we did. So all of us worked very hard. We were first generation guys. We had no fallback options. We had no areas where we can say, okay, chalo, itna bank balance hai. We had zero. At the same time, we had nothing to lose. We are barefoot guys. So for us, working was a pleasure. We wouldn't feel shy about going and taking measurement somewhere or doing any job that is required to be done. Because for us, we did it with pride. We enjoyed what we did and we got money. We got paid for it. So it's great. What life went on. But we didn't have to compromise our ideals. We didn't have to compromise with our value system. And that was where I think we were lucky also. We were firm also. We said, nahi hai to nahi hai, goli maro. We'll get something some other day. But just because we don't have anything and that guy is offering us some, I wouldn't name, but we lost a major job those days. We did a Titan Watches corporate office, which was 8 floors. And right next to that, an IBM job came. And somewhere I got drawn into it because we did that entire office. It came out very good. Titan were very happy.
Golden Enclave.
Yeah.
Golden Enclave. And just the next door block which came up, they approached us. But they said there are certain people who are to be. I said, boss, I am not going to get involved with any of that because I want to sleep in 60 seconds. I today also go home. If I hit the bed, 60 seconds, I am fast asleep. And any point in time, wherever I am, I can sleep. I have no bones about it because I don't carry any baggage. I said, this is not going to work for me. I said, I will certify your bill 100%. Like if you are supposed to get out of that project X amount, which is legitimate, I'll give you. After that, you take that money, go to a pub, or you go and give it to somebody as a bribe, or you throw it in the dustbin is your problem. That is not my area of concern. So that's under that grounds, I'm willing to work. But because you have to cover somebody, I have to certify your bill on a higher platter. I'm not the one. You find somebody else. And we lost a job, which was huge in those days. And I was comfortable. It didn't matter. I said, okay, nahi hai. Probably it was not required. Had we got it, we would have gone into a wrong path. So and every time we took everything as a blessing. काम नहीं मिला तो चांदी हो गया. काम मिला तो चांदी हो गया. If you take that way, then life becomes probably more acceptable, little less stressful. I'm not saying that it is comfortable for everybody. Everybody has their own problems, their own situations, their own pockets to fill. for various reasons. You have created a liability or you have your own issues at home, outside, whatever. But the more you can clean yourself and move on, the easier you'll be. And at the humble beginning itself, if you keep it that way, as you grow, you do not have too many skeletons. You are probably easier to manage the things and you'll live life. That's what.
You have something.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
I want to ask something later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is all a very fascinating story, right? And it's also a little bit of a retrospective story because we are talking with somebody who's been there, done that, right? And a part of me wishes that when I am your age, at least, I have that energy to be able to speak like you do. Of course, I want to do it my way as well.
Yeah.
Having said that, the first few hurdles that a person faces when they enterprise. So, a quick question. You finished your architecture, you went ahead with your master's, you were clear already that you wanted to do your master's. Once you graduated, that was 79. Did you practice for a while or start going entrepreneurial right in the beginning?
Okay, then I'll tell you. I started working for myself
Right.
way back in 73 before I passed out.
All right. And what did you do?
Because Bombay
Huh.
was an area where we wanted to live on our own.
Right.
We needed some money.
Right.
And Bombay is a place where interiors had already, people were doing. And we found ourselves comfortable in offering that opportunity.
Right.
We had good friends of ours in the college where we used to also come together and go and make presentation drawings. Like today, you have these 3D renders and
Right.
other things people doing. Those days, we used to sit with our hand and do all these drawings, render them, color them, and go and give it to the architects. So we had a visiting faculty. So the professors who would visit us, we would tell them, sir, we can do we got skills, we can do something for you. We knew we could learn, we could do something, and we would make some money also. And they were also happy to offload because those days, all these kind of systems were not there. Internet where you Google, you get this link, that link. So they were happy. Oh, you guys can deliver. I have this project. If you can make a rendered drawing and things like that, we are happy. So we would sit whole night, completely do the handmade drawing sketches. Hey, oh, sab karke. We will go and give it next day morning, sit in the waiting room over there and collect our money and come back and say, wow. That was one. Second, somebody would say we want to get our kitchen redone and some toilet has to be leakages there. So we are here, we'll do it. So we would get contractors to go there, break open, get it done, and at the end of the day, make some money out of it. Now, this started in a big way. In Bombay, it just grew. And we also took a hit. Those days, cement was 7 rupees or something like that per bag, and it was in black. You're not getting it.
7 rupees.
So, Grand Paradi, we are doing one big flat. So, we decided to do cast in situ in mosaic and using white cement. So, black mein wo cement leke aaya, black money, I'm saying, not that black cement. White cement we got in black.
Basically, cash mein diya aapne.
and we did a great job. We got it laid through a contractor. Sab ho gaya. Set it for curing, pani wani dala. After it was cured, supposed to be have cured, we started that grinding. When we set the machine on, the whole thing started splintering everywhere. And we said, what is this? We realized that guy had cheated us. He gave us POP instead of cement. And we didn't know. It would never set. We lost all our monies. We had a lot of problems. We went through that. So these kinds of things did happen, but they were learning curves.
Right.
So we said, great, now we know what it is. So we became stronger. So 73, 74, 75, made a lot of money, survived in Mumbai, and got confidence also about what we can do and what we cannot do. Got showroom jobs. Started doing them, started doing turnkey at those days. Because that time there was no concept like that. So we used to carpenter hai to nahi aap hi karo, kar diye ya ho gaya karke, laga ke, collect money, and we used to make money. Find ways of delivering things which we could procure at a better price and still make some money out of it. Started doing art, painting, giving it to the client, getting some money out of it. So any simple way that we could do, we wanted to survive. We had no bones about it. We did that. Drawing bana ke dene ke denge. For everything we yes, and time is for us. We have nothing else to do. Those days, no social circle, idhar jao, udhar jao, kuch nahi tha. बैठ के काम करो, रगड़ाई करो, पैसा ले लो, enjoy करो. So we went through that kind of a phase till I went to my post-graduation. Post-graduation, I got into all these fundas of rural development. Even before that, we did a lot of work in Panvel and all that. There was a summers. We would go and build village houses.
Mm.
So how we can do it economically for them. And they know their job, but how we can make it a little more simpler and better for them is what we started working on. Yusuf Merali Center was there. They used to do a lot of things. So we would go and contribute. So we would chip in. Wherever we had an opportunity, we would chip in. Things like Buckminster Fuller. You heard. He was coming to India. He came to Bombay. We said we must get him into the college. We used to sit in the college in the night. This MF Hussain, we would go and catch him, say, we want you to come and talk with us.
Was
so
he
MF
already
Hussain
famous?
would come into the office.
Was he already
into
famous?
the college. Our college used to be open. We used to open 24 hours. We
So
told
why
our
are they
principal,
not open today?
we are going to work. And we used to work. College was our everything. We would sleep there, we would eat there, drink there, sab cheez karke, we would survive. Idea was use your time creatively, use your time which would gainfully give you some returns. And Bombay is good for all that. You can't do that in Kharagpur. You go and land up in Kharagpur and you imagine that you'll get some money. No, you'll not get. So Bombay gave me a lot. But then when I started thinking on the hindsight, I said, Bombay gave me everything. But I started looking at Bombay much better. I started absorbing Bombay when I went out of Bombay. And then I started seeing Bombay in a very different way. I said, oh my God. And that's where it started working on me. And I realized problems of Bombay are not in Bombay, but they are outside. If the outside areas were controlled, Bombay will not be what it is. So how do you work on that? So that's where regional development, that's where the entire development, that's where entire exercise went on right up to political planning. And then I started thinking, philanthropies were there, philanthropists were there who would say, okay, we'll adopt a village, we'll do. I said, again, that I don't want. Paternalistic attitude is not accepted. You cannot be like an American saying that I'll give you all the money and you manage. No. That's where there's UNICEF people also, we told them we don't need you, nor your fridges. So the idea is how can it be homegrown, how it can be much more rooted. And that's where it started working for us, making us strong. When we went out, started realizing what we are. And then from there, we worked on all these things. Eventually, realizing that nothing works, I want to get down to building buildings is when I started doing architecture and interior again back in 82.
Right.
And 82 onwards, we started right royally, boss, we are going to deliver. We'll do a correct job. We want money for what we are doing. No compromise. These are our fees. You accept, give us. If you don't want to give us, we don't want to work. You imagine we'll collect from somebody, we'll never collect. And you think that that's why you're going to give us less, we don't want to work for you. In Bangalore also, we have lost jobs because we stuck to our guns. Today also it is like that. People know who we are and people enjoy working with us. They work with us. People who don't want to work, fine. And we are no frills about it. ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ. I mean, आया तो आया, अच्छा है. And जो काम मिलता है, हम लोग प्यार से करते हैं. We enjoy every bit of the work that we get. And that keeps us happy. That keeps us moving. That's where it is. I was telling him, spiritual grounding is very important for anything you do in life. Again, because what happens is your aspirations, everything are very much under control and you connect with yourself. The moment you stop connecting with yourself, all problems starts.
Moment you
stop connecting with yourself, all problems start. If you are connecting with yourself, a lot of problems get addressed. They do not crop up the way they come otherwise. That's why the spiritual connection becomes very important. Not as spiritual. You see, the moment that larger picture comes into play, it is the larger picture you start looking at, then a lot of issues get addressed because the spectrum is large. It's like you're not talking of Earth, you're talking of universe. Then when you start talking at that level, a lot of things at this level, they are not in focus as much as they are. But when you just talk about your current situation, your problems are too strong and in focus, and to achieve them by hook or by crook, you start compromising and you start doing a lot of things which start hurting you. The moment you have a larger picture, you let go. You are ready to accept things. And the moment you let go, there is a lot more which falls back in. It connects you. It's a very important aspect of life. Your grounding. And that is a spiritual grounding, I feel. All of us, somewhere in us, have that thing in us, and we need to recognize that and stay put with it. And then you'll never be going straight.
So just a few quick questions that I had. One is from rural development that you were doing at the beginning of your career to, I mean, from that I've heard that you've been involved with designing for the superstars and a lot of affluent people and all that. So I'm sure the journey would have been very fascinating, and there have been ups and downs. But having established a firm which has been designing for the super rich and all of that, is CDs also involved today with the rural development or some programs like that?
Not really. We are not directly doing anything which is connected with any of those development projects which I was working on with at some point in time. But having said that, we are putting that value-based decisions on every project that we do. And that, I think, is somewhere still connecting. That's also where it starts binding. Even when we do for super rich or do projects which have no limits, we still advise clients on lines of keeping it to what value-based input is. It's just because you have the money, let's splurge. No, I think, and a lot of times I always felt that design or the creativity is not a function of money that is going to go into it, but it's a function of how correctly that particular resource or that idea is used in the context. So it's just because you spend more, it's not necessary that you're going to create an exuberance. And all the more it becomes challenging when you have to do something without resources that you would otherwise have, still create something which is stunning, which we call sustaining. But having said that, it's a lot of work with nature, work with light, work with materials which are conducive to a whole lot of situations. And while doing that, if you have to splurge, yes, I'm not saying that that's something which is no, it's forbidden. No, you need to do that. You need to do that. But never lose the value of what you're doing. That is most important. Value, when I say value by the contextual, like in a given situation, just because you spent money and you created something, it may not look great. But if that value was there in terms of it needed it and you handled it and you did it differently, I think that's where you start enjoying it, and then you start bringing in sort of that work that start looking value-based.
So one more thing that really bothers me in terms of it's a generalization of the profession for some reason. I don't know why it has come to this, but this is what I've observed also, that the architectural practice, the architect in the architectural practice, for some reason the image has become like this, that if they're leading a very affluent life, whatever it might be, and it's multiple people, I think general perception is like this, that there must be something going on beyond the practice, which whether it is whoever it is that is there in the practice, and people for some reason have this perception that architects end up taking money. But fortunately, or for us, it's been like we have always worked with supremely integrated architects and professionals where there is no such thing happening. But the perception outside for an architect is like this. Why has it become like that? We've tried to inquire this multiple times with people, but I don't know why the impression doesn't change.
It's a prudent question, but unfortunately, even our fellow professionals have given a reason for the impression to set in. Because and also a lot of organizations and establishments, government as well as non-government, also presume that this is what it is, and they say it's all right if we give you lesser fees, because anyway you're going to make money from a whole lot of other sources. And this I have experienced in one of the meetings where IS officer talked this in the conference room where I was a part of it. And I said, I mean, what are you trying to say? I'm sitting here and I have no clue to how you could say that. And if you're saying that I would like to be associated with a project like this. So the point is, it has been the way a lot of people have found comfort in making their monies. And I would not say that the affluence or the people's lifestyle would say that they have made money in some other source, but taking money or from vendors and contractors and establishments with whom they are working, and they have asked them to give them a cover. But one is, this is essentially because the percentage of fees which people ask and then the clients don't tend to agree, or the government establishments also don't follow the norms which are prescribed by the Council of Architect and the Architectural Institute. And at the end of the day, they still want to survive, so they start making those kind of compromises. And probably they need to work on that project, so they have to find a way of doing it this way. But whatever reasons, we were lucky enough, I would say, that we said, okay, no to job. I mean, if that's the case, so forget it. Let's not do it. What's our problem? We can still do something. And it is very difficult in the practice like this. And at the same time, you also see the meteoric growth which you find in, say, IT industry or anything like that. A guy, like if your fellow colleague who has done his IT and he is passed out, today what he will be earning and you as an architect will be earning will be a huge difference. And that is what reflects into our offices also. We do not give those kinds of structured payments. We do not give those kinds of salaries to the individuals. Is essentially because after all that work, we do not get those kinds of fees which allow us to give a handsome return to the individuals who have graduated and who have been put in that 4 years or 5 years in practice. So I think that is where the shift happens and people start finding it very comfortable to make money from other sources. So there again, I feel it's something probably either we have to do more jobs to make the same money, or we have to live with a little lesser kind of a takeoff and still be happy, is a question, and balance it out, probably generate more in terms of input cost has to be curtailed and got down to servicing the client at the same price, but with a lesser this thing, but not compromising on what you would like to do in terms of design, in terms of creativity, in terms of servicing, all those things, and probably do it the first time. The first time you do it better, probably it saves you the time and the client.
Yeah.
But yes, it is true. What you're saying is a part of this architectural practice. It has gone too far deep for us to say that it is not there or it should not be there. It's way beyond that now. Unfortunately, yes, it is.
So one more thing that I wanted to also get to know from you, because it's very unique to you, is you set up a partnership firm and ran it very successfully for a very long time, and then your kids got into it. So it is still a partnership firm, but how do the dynamics work when the children start coming into it? Does it become more of a family business, or does the structure of the firm allow, because as an individual, because generally the perception is that I'm running a business, my kids join it, so it becomes a family business, and then dynamics change. So, and as an architect, we do not have the organizational mindset to I'm talking about a general perception, to retain it as a organization. But you managed to do that very well.
No, it's a good question. What happens is the very important thing in this is that you recognize the talent or value the talent that is coming in. It's a part of the family, so it's there. But then it doesn't change the dynamics, because Again, they are working as yet another individual who is in the organization, and they carry the same responsibility. They carry the same demand in terms of their commitment and time. And in turn, probably because they are a part of the family, they need to take a larger responsibility of taking a team together and moving further. The financials part of it can be anything. It shouldn't change any dynamics at the end of the day, is what I feel. And that's how I have looked at it always. I've told, like, my son and daughter both are working with me, but I tell them, you take the project, it's your responsibility, you handle, and make sure the client doesn't come back to me saying that, yes, your son was handling, but at the end of the day, we are not happy and we still need you to participate. That's where it starts going wrong. If you are doing that, delivering it, it's great. Now, because you're a part of the family, you expect financial returns to be different. I think keep that aside. I'm put it that way, is only because at the end of the day, whatever is there is for you. But if you start visualizing those financial returns and then you start losing your focus, it's not going to help. So they are grounded and they work the same way as anybody else in the office is working. Yes, they are expected to be more responsible. They are expected to take more in terms of general internal managements and things like that, and which they are doing and they're delivering. And that's where, and every project, even otherwise, we look at it as an individual's responsibility, because this is a subjective science. At the end of the day, my view will never tally with your view, with anybody's view. So we keep that head of the project individual responsible for whatever he or she is doing. And that's what makes the difference. And that's where the accountability, responsibility, and commitment, everything comes in.
One is you were speaking about spirituality, and over and over again, we do see that creative people have a very private part, usually, not necessarily, but usually a private part, which is the same thing that you said, which is it anchors them from a personal point of view, and that's their spiritual connect. And yes, I agree with you. I'm not talking about a religion. I'm talking about what grounds me. In this case, the inquiry is what has been grounding you, and how have you been practicing it? I don't want to name to what you do, but your connect or relationship with your spiritual aspect and how it impacts your work. If you could elaborate on that a bit.
Okay, I mean, to say the first thing is that I always had a spiritual inclination. When I say spiritual inclination, again, I always started having those fundamental questions: who am I? What am I? What am I trying to do? What is it for? So when I have all these kinds of questions, I started always looking at myself as one entity in the overall cosmos, in the overall working sphere which is happening. And what I do is directed, it is guided, it is something which happens because of a larger picture, whole lot of things which are happening. Now, the moment I explode my dimensions, I start feeling very humble, very simple, and I feel grounded. And that is what I feel is a very major thing in change, because then that small bit of extra which I get, I would have been happy. I'm always happy. I ask myself, am I not happy? I mean, there are a lot of people who don't get what I have got. So I say, I'm very lucky. I'm happy. I get everything that I imagine. And that is how the larger picture or the nature has guided me and been. Simple thing, food. Any food you serve me on the table, I say, wow, it is fantastic. It's not just because I want to say it, but that's how I get connected. And every time I have found, whenever I want, whatever I want, I get. And that's purely because I feel nature knows what I need. What I don't need, I don't get. So what I don't get, I never grumble about it. You can't be grumbling and happy smiling at the same time. So either you're smiling or you're grumbling. So I keep smiling and I realize that everything comes to me on a platter. I have no things where I feel that I wish this was the other way around. And that's a kind of a psyche which has happened with me for years and years and years. And that is the spiritual rooting, is what I feel. Because even when we were children, we used to feel that, okay, what we deserve, we'll get. And we got. So that has been into our grind, and we have never had that feeling that, okay, I didn't get this, somebody else got that, I didn't get. There was no race, there was no competition, they was happy. I mean, that's where that happiness comes in. And the moment you're happy, your whole approach changes. You start feeling okay, and how you can make something more for somebody else to be happy. If you start doing that, you're not confronting, you're not fighting. You're not fighting for survival. You're not fighting for something that I want to grab it. The moment you let go, things come. That's the kind of a thing I feel is
Sure. Absolutely. I have two things that come from here. One is an inquiry that we were talking about. Usually, for a person to go entrepreneurial, things that they wonder is, how is it that I'll land my first job? How did you land your first job as
Okay.
an entrepreneur?
Okay, as I said, the same thing that in the beginning, when we were students, we needed some money. So we said, okay, let's find if we can get a job, like if we can get to do something for somebody, and if we can get paid, I think we are happy. And that's how we explored. And two friends came together. We started saying, okay, let's pitch in for this. We got it. We got the money. We delivered. And we came out with loads of experience, learning curve, and got what we wanted was the money, little money that we wanted to stay on our own. So
Right.
that drive also was there. Ki we need to sustain, we need to create something so that we can be on our own and
Correct.
stop depending. Those days, we used to get a pocket money of 40 rupees per month, out of which most of the money would go into transport, traveling by train, bus, and all those things. And leftover money, we had to eat vada pav or something on that cart and sustain. But that's what it is. There was nothing extra that we had. So we needed to do something, sustain, to sort of be where we were and grow from there. To do any investment. Those days, I used to say the kind of salary, that 250 rupees salary, if I put together for years together also, I'll never be able to buy a house for myself. So what am I trying to do? It's only a rat race. I have to just continuously keep doing. And that's what also drove us thinking that what are the other horizons, how it can be done differently. But coming to the another question, when I did my master's in planning. Before I completed my master's, there was this Professor Christopher Benninger. He wrote to me saying that there's a big project in Sri Lanka where we are developing small and medium-sized towns for UNCHS, United Nations Center for Human Settlements, based in Kenya. So they have called him and appointed him. So he says, I need a professional planner who could take up this responsibility as a project leader. So I got a blank page invitation when I was doing my dissertation. And I said, it's a great idea. So I went to Pune. That project got delayed. It didn't take off the time when I went in. And in the meantime, there's a project in Goa which came up. So I went into that project, and there is where my entire work experience and etc. started in planning.
Right.
And from there onwards, it was a different story. But when the success of this, when I say success I meant was simple. If I couldn't give up potable water to one hamlet, then what am I trying to do? I'm struggling. It means nothing. And neither for me, nor for those people, nor for the society at large. And that's where I started feeling this is not an area where I could do anything. And that's where, again, if there is no happiness, why am I doing? I don't want to do it. That's how I got out of it. I was very, very focused. I only wanted to work in those sections, but it didn't make material sense. In a longer perspective, I said, I need to move out. Neither I'm doing this, nor that, nor giving myself on ground. So I said, let's get out and start doing something. I came to Bangalore also with a blank page. There was nothing much on the hand. But I said, okay, we'll survive. Usme kya hai? The attitude was there. We didn't have that feeling that, okay, I don't have so much, I don't have this, and what will happen? I don't have a car, I don't have... Everything came in, and slowly, we worked and we got away. So that's how it has been.
I have an observational question to make, and I think I will end with that myself as well. Paucity of time, not that I don't find it curious at all. There are too many questions. I get the fact that you've got a spiritual anchoring. I get the fact that you also went with the flow. There's this, as they say today, attitude of gratitude that has always been in practice. You have no regrets in life. Who doesn't want to be there You are 70 plus and you're still going strong, functioning in the way that you want to function. I see fulfillment, contentment. And you've mentioned this, that, your fundamental goal post was, I want to be happy. And success and money are things that align to that. What I'm finding it difficult to settle with is when, or can you rather tell me, when is it that you felt that you had to struggle? What was difficult for you? Because you make everything sound very superfluous. डिफिकल्टी तो आई होगी ना लाइफ में. जितनी भी खूबसूरत थी है आपकी जिंदगी में, it cannot be devoid of difficulty or struggle. No, I'm not leaving the regret bit aside. You don't have regrets. That's great.
No.
But what
difficulty has always been there. There is nothing which is without difficulty. What I'm only saying is how we circumvent that difficulty, how we circumvent that hurdle is, we always took it as a challenge and I enjoyed doing it. And that's where those difficulties never remain difficulty. So for example, when we started practice in Bangalore, we had nothing. At the end of the day, I used to say that time the airfare from Bangalore to Mumbai was some 250 rupees, 300 rupees. So I said I would keep 300 rupees in my back pocket. So in the event I don't have anything, I can fly down to Bombay and settle down in my main family home and say I am happy. It doesn't matter. The point is, money was not there. Difficulties were there. We had to struggle. We had to work for it. And all that work was a learning curve, was a challenge. And we went on it very systematically, guided, and we achieved our goal. So that happiness comes is when you struggle for it and you get it. Once you got it, they say, wow, maja aa gaya. That's how it has all happened. Even professionally, I'll say, we were not as sharp as we are today probably. But those days, like for example, we worked for Titan. Titan polished us professionally. Before that, we were working for most of the Lalas. Lalas are the people who had a lot of money. Those days, it was the community who had a lot of wealth, the business people. Corporate culture was not there. First corporate connect which we had was when we did work for Titan. And then that time we realized we are talking with the IIM and all these kind of guys who are talking straight on the face. They are asking pointed questions, sharp opinions. And if we fumble, we are not going to be surviving. So we had to abreast ourselves with the latest. We had to become better to deliver what they were asking. So every time these difficulties did come, we realized we are short of something and we made it up by becoming better. So the effort was how I can become better, how I can learn from my mistakes, how I can, like that, instead of white cement using the POP, we would have never done that today.
Right.
We would say, okay, I'm sampling pehla karna chahiye. What are you trying to do? But those are the kinds of things we went through. So those were the learning curves. Those are the shoulders we are standing on. So we are seeing far away. So you stand on taller shoulders, you see long distance.
Right.
So those experiences were things which we stood on. And we have gone through difficulties. Difficulties have not been absent. But there was that sort of contentment or that satisfaction which did not drive us crazy. Ki, okay, nahi hua. I mean, when you lose a job also, there are more unfinished jobs than what we have finished. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jobs which didn't come through after putting in all that we did. So there was a lot of that kind of also sad feelings coming in, putting in so much of our effort. At the end of the day, the client turns back and say no. And unfortunately, in our field, we don't take monies in advance and all that. So having done that and you say, okay, I don't want to do it. I've just given up the project or I got somebody else to do it. Gone through that umpteen number of times. That is also, we always took it as a learning curve. We never went after anybody. If somebody decided not to pay, we say, okay, so be it. Probably we didn't deserve it. But I would not go gunning for somebody, अरे उसने पैसा नहीं दिया, उसके बारे में बात करो. No, if I start ill talking also, it's going to reflect on me. So whatever you do to me, I'll still say you did in your own mind what was right. It didn't suit me. It's like I was telling him, you stop judging people. You start becoming better because you start judging yourself. The moment you start looking at yourself and judging yourself, how you could be better, Because every fault we used to blame ourselves, not the other guy. And the moment you do that, I think you start becoming better. And once you're better, you are anyway good for the difficult times. So difficulties came, but we could overcome that with ease thanks to family support, family background. Family background, I'm not saying financially. Family is also rooted where they were not expecting कि चलो ये नहीं तो मेरे को इतना तो चाहिए, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए. That demand from the family was not there. They were also contented. They thought that whatever we are talking is right and that's good enough. And we also worked towards that. We never created something. There's no falsification. That helps us. I always say, let's be honest with ourselves. We are happy at the end of the day with that. The moment you start creating something, stories, then that unhappiness comes in because those stories don't work out or don't add up. So when you don't have stories, you're anyway happy. You're devoid of all those unwanted stuff.
Right.
If I put up, then I have to work to that expectation. Those start giving me stresses, and that's where I start becoming less better, or my health affects. I mean, everything gets into a situation where it starts getting difficult to live. Today, I don't have any issues. I don't have to answer my wife because she trusts me. I trust her. So it's a comfort feeling which goes in. The moment you don't have that, then you have to create a situation, which I went through also, incidentally, when I had to break up with my old partners. It was a very tough situation we went through. That's the worst situation of my life. But that also was learning curve. And there also, I came out happy at the end of the day. And they are also happy. I always, even today, I pray, let them be happy where they are. Because the reason is, we are nobody to judge. We are nobody to pass something to somebody. Each situation demands a position for which everybody is working. And sometimes it's a give and take. You realize that you're on the wrong side, or you get the worst element of that. But intentionally, I will never want to do any harm to anybody. That is a philosophy, again, a ground rule. I will not do intentionally any wrong to you. You may be whatever. You may think whatever you want to do to me is your call. And I always tell them that you have to answer in the final justice. As far as I am concerned, I am clean. I did good for you. You imagine it's your problem. It doesn't hurt me. If I owe you money and if I don't pay you, it starts hurting me, because at some point in time, I say, मेरे को और एक जन्म लेना पड़ेगा आपको पैसा देने के लिए. So you better take your money and get out of this situation, because I don't want to be a situation where I create a problem for you intentionally. Unintentionally, by my act, some things may happen, but it was not my intention to hurt you. That philosophy is also very, very important in life. I think health, this mental peace, all these things cumulatively go into creating that so-called happiness. And that then rubs on. Then once you enjoy that, you don't want to leave it. It's like meditation. If you sit for meditation 10 minutes and you enjoy, you want to sit for 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. And you are in that trance, you're happy. So what is your problem? At the end of the day, khana, pina, and that's all. We all have to get out of this situation some point in time. So what are we trying to do?
Cool. I think
I will stop here. I have more to ask.
Time, we will stop, but we are not done knowing your...
No, a lot more we can talk.
Yeah, there is a lot of depth we can go to, but we will stop here. It was great, absolutely nourishing,
I
sir.
hope I have come to whatever your thought was.
Yeah. Points of inquiry for me, actually.
Inquiry, yeah. And I feel even the people who are going to listen to this, if they can get some message, it's great. That's the whole idea and the purpose.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yes. Thank you so much,
It's not
sir.
about who I am or what I am, but if that is a learning curve for somebody, so be it. It should.
Yeah. No, that's the idea. It's about, I think, what we get to learn from an individual's life and what we can take from there and pick on, because that is what helps us move forward in life. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking out time and doing this with us.
Thank you.
Milind, thank you so much for finding time and doing this with us. Really appreciate that. Let us know what you think about Milind's conversation. If you like what we do, like, share and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.